Once upon a time, in a quiet suburban neighborhood, there lived a group of close-knit friends: Emma, Sarah, Jake, and Michael. They were all around 16 years old and decided to have a sleepover at Emma's house while her parents were away for the weekend. The evening started out like any other sleepover. They ordered pizza, played games, and watched movies, all the while having a great time. Around midnight, they decided to play a spooky game to amp up the excitement. Michael had heard of a game called The Midnight Mirror, a game rumored to reveal glimpses of the supernatural. To play the game, they had to turn off all the lights, light a single candle, and gather around a mirror. Each participant had to chant "Midnight Mirror" 3 times, while staring into their own reflection. Legend had it that if you stared long enough, you might see something eerie or unsettling in the mirror. As they chanted, the room seemed to grow colder. Goosebumps formed on their arms, and a feeling of unease settled in the air. Just as they were about to dismiss the game as a silly urban legend, they noticed something strange in the mirror's reflection. A shadowy figure seemed to move behind them. Startled, they turned around, but there was nothing there. They laughed it off, blaming their imagination and the spooky atmosphere. They chalked it up to a trick of the dim candlelight. However, as the night progressed, the unease didn't subside. They heard faint footsteps in the hallway outside the room, but each time they checked, the hallway was empty. The sounds of whispers seemed to echo through the walls, but whenever they tried to make out the words, they vanished. The atmosphere grew increasingly tense. Eventually, they decided to put an end to the unsettling experience and blew out the candle. But the moment they did, all the lights in the house flickered and went out. Panic set in as they stumbled in the darkness, fumbling for their phones to use as flashlights. Then, they heard a chilling whisper right behind them: "You shouldn't have called for me." Their hearts raced as they turned around to see the mirror, now reflecting a twisted and distorted version of their own faces. The figure they had seen earlier in the mirror seemed to emerge from its surface, a horrifying blend of shadows and malevolent energy. Terrified, they ran out of the room, only to find that the entire house was plunged into darkness. Frantic, they tried to escape, but the doors wouldn't budge, and the windows were sealed shut. The whispering grew louder, and the figure seemed to be everywhere at once. As they huddled in the corner of the living room, they realized they were trapped in a nightmare of their own making. The figure from the mirror taunted them with their deepest fears and regrets, exploiting their vulnerabilities. Hours felt like an eternity as they were tormented by their own thoughts and the malevolent presence. The sun's first rays finally pierced through the windows, and with a sudden jolt, the figure vanished. The lights flickered back on, and the doors and windows were once again accessible. They stumbled out of the house, shaken and traumatized by the harrowing experience. The friends never spoke about that night again, and their bond was forever changed. They learned the hard way that delving into the supernatural can have unimaginable consequences. To this day, they carry the weight of that disturbing sleepover horror story, a tale they can never forget, even if they desperately wish they could.